So here is example 1 of solving system of inequalities by graphing. Okay? And so what's different about this system of equations is each is not an equation, it's an inequality. Okay? But since we're doing it by graphing, the same premise stands. I've got to get y by itself on both equations in order for me to graph. Okay? So my work right now is going to be centered around getting what by itself? Y. So let's go ahead and get y by itself. So on this bottom equation, I will subtract x on both sides. And so I have negative 2y is greater than negative x plus 9. And now I need to divide by negative 2 on both sides. And so I have y, and notice since I divided everything by a negative, my sign will what? Flip. So I'll have y is less than 1/2 x minus 4.5. Okay, so there's our bottom equation. I'm going to rewrite the top equation and we'll get y by itself on it. Okay, so the top equation says 5x plus 6y is greater than negative 19. And so I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. And so I have 6y is greater than negative 5x minus 19. And then I'll divide everything by 6. And so I have y is greater than negative 5 over 6x. What is negative 19 divided by 6? Negative 3 point something? Negative 3.16. Okay. And that's an approximation, isn't it? Isn't it? We could even say negative 3.167. Okay. Now, anytime we have solved something by graphing, the solution to a system of equations is where the two lines, what? Intersect. That's going to change on these problems. Okay? So let's see what's different about it. And so now, here's what I've got to do. I need to graph these two equations, don't I? So what we notice in this red equation is that it's a less than symbol. So the line that we draw will not be solid, it'll be what? Dotted. So let's go ahead and graph this. First I need to go down 4.5. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0.5 is in between 4 and 5, so like right there. And from that point, I got to go up 1, and write 1, 2, which is about right there. And I'm going to do it a couple more times, just so that I get good lines to connect. Okay? Good points to connect. The more points you have to connect, the straighter your line's going to be. Okay, so now what kind of line do I need? A dotted line. So I'm going to draw me a dotted line. And on this iPad, it's really hard to draw as straight a line as possible. But you need to use your straight edge as you draw this dotted line. Now there's more to it than just drawing the dotted line. The inequality is a less than, which tells me to shade where? Below the line. So I'm also going to shade below the line. So I've shaded below the line. So I drew my line, I shaded below the line. Now I need to go to the blue line, and I also need to draw it. First, the y-intercept is negative 3.167, so I'm going to estimate that as close as I can. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and 0.167 is just a little below it, so we'll say right here. Would you agree that's pretty close? And then from there I need to go down 5 and right 6. But there's not enough space. What's the opposite of down right, or down 5, right 6? Up 5 and left 6. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my other point. Now, is this a solid or a dotted line? dotted also, isn't it? It's really hard to draw one on this iPad. Y'all do the best you can, but y'all need to use a straight edge, right? Okay, so I've got my dotted line. Can y'all see it? Now, where do I need to shade it? Well, if you look at the inequality, what kind of inequality do I have right here? Say greater than. Greater than. And so I need to shade above the blue line. You ready? So look at me. I'm going to shade above the blue line. Can you see me shading above the blue line? A lot of shading to do, isn't it? Now, the question is, what portion stays shaded? Because if you look, I've got three different sections of the graph, right? I've got this section that's not shaded at all. I've got this section here that's marked off by this line and by this line. I've got this section here that's only shaded in blue, right? I've got this section here that's marked off with these lines that's only shaded in what color? Red. And then I've got the section that's marked off by this and by this that's shaded both red and blue. You see it? I've got my dotted line here and I've got my dotted line here, and this section is shaded with red and what? Blue. I call that the double shaded region. Can you say double shaded region? It's the only region that should stay shaded. Okay? Now here's the solution. The solutions to a system of inequalities are the points that fall in the double shaded region. So any point that's in the double shaded region will make your system of equations true. Did you hear what I said? Any point that falls in the double shaded region will make the system of inequalities what? True. And so really, okay, if I'm doing it right, I'd have to go back and I would have to erase all the blue writing. Okay? And so if you have your eraser, all this blue, the program won't let me erase, but really you should erase all of that. And all of this red, that's only red, you should erase that. And the only thing that should be shaded is the area that's double shaded. I call it the double shaded region. So now the question is, can you guys tell me a solution to this system of inequalities? Well, a solution would be a point in the what? Double shaded region. Double shaded region. So look at this point right here. Can y'all see this point I just colored black? What point is that? 4, -4. So the point 4, -4 is a solution to the system of inequalities. If you plugged 4 in for x and -4 in for y, it would make both inequalities true statements. Okay? Now the question is, how many solutions are there to a system of inequalities? Infinite, right? There are an infinite number of points in that double shaded region. Okay? So the way I'll question you on this is I'll have you graph it, and then I'll just tell you, give me a point in the double shaded region. Or I'll give you like 3 or 4 and I'll say pick which ones are in the double shaded region. Do you understand?